Have you ever wondered why some people do everything right after turning 60, eating light, avoiding red meat, choosing tofu instead, yet still wake up years later with kidney problems they never saw coming? If you're eating tofu to protect your health, what I'm about to tell you may be uncomfortable, but it could also save your kidneys. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and here's the urgent truth most people in America are never warned about. After the age of 60, your kidneys no longer process food the way they used to. Foods that once felt clean, gentle, and harmless can slowly turn into silent stressors, damaging your kidneys day by day without pain, without symptoms, and without a single clear warning sign. Tofu is one of the most misunderstood foods in this story. For decades, it's been promoted as a safe protein, a heart-healthy alternative, a smart choice for aging bodies. But when tofu is eaten the wrong way, combined with the wrong foods or chosen from the wrong sources, it can quietly accelerate kidney decline, sometimes years before lab tests ever catch it. And this is what makes it dangerous. The damage doesn't happen overnight. There's no sharp pain, no dramatic red flags. It builds slowly, silently, like water dripping onto stone, until one day the kidneys are already overwhelmed. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how this happens, the 3 common tofu combinations that can quietly destroy kidney function after 60, and most importantly, how to use tofu the right way, so it supports your kidneys instead of exhausting them. If tofu is still part of your weekly meals, don't click away. The most important part of this conversation comes next. After understanding that tofu itself is not the enemy, we need to slow down and look at the first silent mistake many people make without realizing it. Because sometimes kidney damage doesn't come from eating the wrong food, it comes from combining the right foods in the wrong way over and over again. The first major red flag is eating tofu together with spinach, also known as leafy greens like spinach or Swiss chard. On the surface, this looks like the healthiest meal imaginable. I've met countless people in their 60s and 70s who proudly told me, "Doctor, I eat very clean. Mostly tofu and vegetables." One woman I spoke with had eaten tofu spinach soup 3 to 4 times a week for nearly 10 years. She never touched red meat. She rarely ate fried food, yet she still developed kidney stones and declining kidney function, and she had no idea why. Here's what was happening inside her body. Spinach is extremely high in oxalates, natural compounds that are harmless on their own when your kidneys are young and strong. Tofu, on the other hand, is rich in calcium. When oxalates and calcium enter the body at the same time, they bind together to form calcium oxalate crystals. These crystals do not dissolve in water. Instead, they slowly accumulate inside the kidneys and urinary tract, forming the most common type of kidney stones. Clinical data shows that calcium oxalate stones account for nearly 75% of all kidney stones, and the risk rises sharply after age 60 when kidney filtration and oxalate clearance naturally decline. What makes this especially dangerous is that the process is silent. There is no pain at first, no warning, no abnormal feeling after the meal. The damage builds quietly, meal by meal, year by year, until one day the kidneys are already under serious strain. Now, to be clear, spinach is not poison and tofu is not the problem. The danger lies in eating them together repeatedly, especially for older adults who already wake up at night to urinate or feel unexplained lower back fatigue. The safest approach is simple, but often ignored. Never combine tofu and spinach raw or lightly cooked in the same meal. If spinach is consumed, it should be blanched separately in boiling water to reduce oxalate levels and eaten at a different time from tofu. For anyone with a history of kidney stones or reduced kidney function, avoiding this combination altogether is the wiser choice. But here's the part most people don't realize. Even if you fix this first mistake perfectly, it still may not protect your kidneys. Because there is another tofu habit that looks even more innocent, tastes even better, and damages the kidneys in a much more aggressive way. And almost everyone overlooks it. If the first mistake was a quiet chemical reaction happening deep inside the kidneys, the second mistake is far more deceptive because it doesn't look dangerous at all. In fact, many people believe it's one of the healthiest choices they can make. I'm talking about fried tofu, tofu skin, and pre-cooked tofu products that are soaked in oil and seasoning. I remember a retired teacher in his late 60s who told me he had completely switched to a clean diet. No red meat, no fast food, mostly vegetable soups and tofu skin added to his meals for extra protein. He felt proud of that choice. But within a few years, his blood pressure crept up, his ankles began to swell in the evenings, and his kidney function quietly declined. He couldn't understand how this was happening when he was eating what he thought was a kidney-friendly diet. Here's what most people are never told. Tofu is naturally porous, almost like a sponge. When it's deep fried, especially in industrial kitchens, the water inside evaporates instantly, and hot oil rushes in to fill that space. That means fried tofu and tofu skin don't just touch oil, they absorb it from the inside out. Nutritionally, this is a dramatic shift. Plain tofu contains around 80 calories per 100 grams. But once fried, that number can jump to over 300 calories, mostly from oxidized fats. And this is where the real kidney damage begins. Oils heated repeatedly at high temperatures produce oxidative byproducts that damage blood vessel lining. Studies show these oxidized lipids increase vascular inflammation and stiffen small arteries. For the kidneys, this is especially dangerous because the kidneys rely on millions of tiny blood vessels, the glomeruli, to filter blood. When blood becomes thicker, salt-loaded, and inflamed, these filters begin to clog and scar. To make matters worse, most fried tofu products are also loaded with hidden sodium. The taste isn't aggressively salty, so people underestimate how much they're consuming. But high sodium intake is one of the strongest predictors of rising blood pressure, and high blood pressure remains the #1 driver of chronic kidney disease worldwide. In older adults, even a modest long-term sodium overload can accelerate kidney decline without triggering obvious warning signs. Now, to be fair, this damage doesn't happen overnight. That's why it's so dangerous. The kidneys stay silent while the pressure builds. But over time, constant exposure to oxidized fats and excess sodium forces the kidneys to work harder just to push blood through damaged filters. Once those filters scar, they never fully recover. If fried tofu or tofu skin is absolutely unavoidable, there is only one protective step that reduces harm: boiling it aggressively in plain water and squeezing out as much oil as possible before cooking. Even then, this should be an occasional compromise, not a regular habit, especially for anyone with high blood pressure, swelling, or early kidney dysfunction. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if you completely avoid spinach combinations and eliminate fried tofu from your diet, your kidneys may still be under threat. Because the final mistake doesn't come from cooking methods at all, it comes from the source of the tofu itself. And this last factor may quietly determine whether your kidneys age slowly or fail much sooner than expected. If fried tofu was the danger hiding in plain sight, then this final mistake is even more unsettling because you can't taste it, smell it, or see it, and yet it may be the single factor that determines whether your kidneys age slowly or fail much earlier than they should. I once spoke with a couple in their early 70s who had eaten tofu almost every day for years. They cooked at home, avoided fried foods, kept salt low, and believed they were doing everything right. But despite all that, one of them developed worsening kidney markers that didn't make sense on paper. The missing piece wasn't how the tofu was cooked. It was where the tofu came from. Here's what most people never think to check. A large portion of low-cost tofu on the market is made from genetically modified soybeans. These soybeans are engineered to tolerate heavy herbicide use during farming. That means residues can remain in the crop long before it's processed into tofu. While this may not cause immediate symptoms, long-term exposure is where concern begins, especially for older adults. International research bodies have raised ongoing questions about the long-term biological effects of chronic herbicide exposure, particularly compounds like glyphosate, which has been classified as a substance of concern due to its potential links to cellular stress and metabolic disruption. For younger bodies, detox systems can often compensate. But after 60, the liver and kidneys simply don't clear chemical residues with the same efficiency. What the body can't eliminate, it stores quietly, patiently, year after year. The kidneys, as your primary blood filtration system, take the heaviest hit. Every drop of blood passes through them. When low-level toxins circulate repeatedly, kidney cells experience ongoing oxidative stress and inflammatory signaling. Over time, this can accelerate scarring in the filtering units, even without pain, even without dramatic lab changes early on. This is why so many people are blindsided later, asking, "How did this happen when I ate so clean?" The solution here isn't panic, it's awareness. Always check the label. Look for tofu made from clearly sourced non-GMO soybeans. If possible, choose products with transparent origin or organic certification. This isn't about perfection or fear. It's about reducing invisible load. Saving $1 at the grocery store can quietly cost years of kidney resilience down the line. And here's the most important takeaway. When it comes to kidney health, the biggest threats are rarely dramatic. They are quiet, repetitive, and normalized. Wrong combinations, wrong processing, wrong sources. Fixing just one of these helps, but fixing all three is what truly changes the trajectory. But knowing what to avoid is only half the story. Because once these mistakes are removed, there is a way to use tofu so it actually supports kidney repair and long-term resilience. And that's where the real shift begins. Before we end today, I want to say this clearly and sincerely. If you've been eating tofu with the intention of protecting your health, that tells me one important thing: you care. And caring is where real change always begins. Kidney damage doesn't happen because people don't try. It happens because no one ever explains how small daily choices quietly add up over time. The good news is, once you understand what to avoid and how to adjust, your kidneys are not helpless. They are resilient patient organs that respond remarkably well when the burden is reduced. You don't need extreme diets. You don't need expensive supplements. What truly matters is awareness, choosing the right combinations, avoiding the hidden traps, and giving your kidneys fewer reasons to struggle every single day. Even small changes made consistently can slow decline, stabilize function, and help you feel lighter, clearer, and more rested over time. If this video helped you see tofu and kidney health from a new perspective, please take a moment to save this video. You may not need it today, but one day you or someone you love might be grateful you did. And if you want to keep learning simple science-based ways to protect your kidneys and age with strength and dignity, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future updates. I share the newest medical insights here with one goal in mind: helping you stay healthy, independent, and confident as the years go on. Remember this: aging does not mean losing control of your body. When you understand it, respect it, and work with it instead of against it, your kidneys and your life can remain strong far longer than most people expect. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I look forward to guiding you again in the next video.